Hello guys, welcome back to another Cinematic Mike review. Today I'm going to review Scott Derrickson's The Black Phone. The Black Phone is written by Scott Derrickson and C. Robert Cargill. I didn't know that these two guys were actually the ones that actually wrote Sinister. I actually didn't even know that Scott Derrickson is the one that actually directed Sinister. Also, it's been popping up recently in things that I've been reading and I've seen, and I was like, oh cool, I guess that was him. I think the way I really got Scott Derrickson's name as like got my attention was with Doctor Strange. And I like the way he did Doctor Strange. It was fine with me, and I was looking forward to him doing the sequel, as I've said before. Obviously, stuff happened, and then he didn't come back, which kind of disappointed me because I really liked the way he took care of Doctor Strange, and I was looking forward to the things he was talking about that he wanted to like explore in the second one, which I thought was pretty cool, his idea. So it got me interested, made me sad that he left. Then he said he was gonna do the Black Phone throughout the time and all that. I was following the Black Phone a little bit, but it still didn't get my attention too much. Then it did seem like it was just like another regular scary movie. Then I saw the poster, I saw the mask and all that, so I started getting my attention again. And then I started reading how passionate he was about the Black Phone and everything. And when it seems like a director is really passionate about something, I kind of want to I get into it because usually it comes out really great. Um, so that's one of the reasons why I wanted to see the Black Phone. The Black Phone is about this community in Denver with all these young kids. I think they're elementary, junior high type of kids, and the community's kind of been shocked by not really. Well, I'm not sure if they're shocked yet, but there's been something going on. This takes place in like the 70s and all that, like old school time. Which I don't know why. I don't know if I thought about that when I saw it. That I didn't know it was like gonna go back in time or and all. So when I saw it, I was like, oh, it's doing one of those things of going back to the classic horror type. So you get the classic vibe and all that of the 70s, 80s and all that. And, almost like Halloween type of style and all that. So yeah, there's like someone that's been abducting kids around this area. And so there's kind of like this like precaution, like be careful out there and everything about this. Ethan Hawke stars in it as the antagonist here. It was another reason why I was looking forward to it. I wanted to see Ethan Hawke, who's actually been doing pretty good, I think, this year because he came out also in The Northman. He came out in a show that I don't watch, which is I think Moon Knight. And it just seems like it's one of his years of Ethan Hawke. So I was like, oh, that's pretty cool. So I wanted to see it because he's going to be a villain right here. So I was looking forward to that. He's going to have a mask and everything. He's going to be the abductor and all that. I don't know any of the kids and all, but I kind of was into it being kind of another like little Halloween Jason type of movie, someone with the mask for Halloween and everything. So that's one of the reasons I was like, oh, cool, this might be another like Scream type of thing, another one of those things. So I was looking forward to it. I went to go see it, and I do have some things to say about it. I will say it is a decent movie. It's pretty chill. I think what I will say right now, it's worth a watch. I think if you guys want to see something, I think it's at least worth a watch. I walked into it thinking I was gonna get scared, really scared. I wasn't that scared. That's one of the issues I had with it. One thing I do like about it is that there is some kind of violence to it with the young kids, which is kind of interesting seeing these young kids getting into violent like altercations and all that. So that was pretty interesting watching that. It's kind of a little thing that I kind of was like, oh damn, these guys are like really beating each other up and all. But the thing I felt like throughout the time is that every time I was watching it, I didn't feel it seemed like one of those movies that had the potential to be something that I thought it was gonna be, but it didn't hit it. But when I was watching it, it felt like the whole time I should have felt like a little bit scared about what's going on around this neighborhood and all that. I should have had this eerie feeling, which is what I love about scary movies or thrillers and all that, And I didn't feel it at all throughout this whole time. Even when the grabber pops up and all, I was like, I didn't feel that scared at all. And then when the main part of the story, when the kid gets abducted, the main character Finney, that part, yeah, I kind of got a little bit into it, and I was interested in seeing what their conversations were going to be like. What is this guy going to do to him? What's going to go on, and all that stuff. Like, what's his whole thing about? Why does he take the kids, And it kind of got me a little bit like intrigued in there, but I still didn't feel it entirely. I did like it because it did give. Usually, you call these like cheap jump scares, but I wouldn't call them cheap because it actually scared me. There are two good scenes, I think. I think what you would say three big jump scares in this movie, but I think only the first two are the ones that actually worked for me, which is something that I liked. I really got I got shocked in that moment. I got scared, and then there's a second one too. There's a third one which I would call, okay, that's just cheap. That's really like really cheap jump scare where I was like, oh yeah, that's pointless. I didn't care about that. So I didn't really feel like this kind of like horror vibe to it. I didn't feel scared at all that much around the that feeling that I want to have about like scariness around like Halloween, the original one does, where you really feel something's out there to get you and everything. I didn't feel that. I think Ethan Hawke did fine as the grabber. It's very minimal. It's not too much, which I guess is okay. But I thought there was gonna be something big, like scary. Most of all, it's entertaining. It's not like big time masterpiece, like a classic horror for me. It's nothing. I mean, I was thinking about it. I was like, should I buy it? Should I not buy it? I don't know. And I'm thinking I might not buy it. I don't know. It might change later, but I might not buy it because right now I feel like it's not something that I'd put on again. Because there's nothing too memorable from it for me, or nothing that really got me into it. Besides probably like the ending, there's like this big old like shock where the audience all were happy, and it got me too. I was like, oh wow, this is great. And there's some kind of like some kind of emotion right there when you react to what's going on. This kid fighting back and everything and all. So that part did get to me, and that's where I was like, all right, this is pretty cool. It's a good movie. It's not like a bad movie, nor is it a masterpiece for me. I was expecting something else from it, but I didn't get it. But then again, I was in my bed last night, and then I was on like my social media, and then like a feed popped up, and I read it really quick. I didn't want to read it because I knew I was gonna do this. But I read it, and it got me interested because it does talk about how this is actually different from the other movies, or like it brought up like documentaries of like serial killers, and how we're more when we do documentaries of something, an event that happened, we are more focused on the serial killer than we are of the victims. And they say that this was a change of that. So that got me interested. I was like, oh yeah, that's kind of true, huh? We're all focused on like, and when I saw this, it reminded me of John Wayne Gacy or whatever, the clown guy from like the 70s or the 80s. However, it's funny because it was just like a few months ago, I think, where I was in bed. Sometimes these things happen in my head where something pops up, and then I'm like, oh, let me Google it. And it's just randomly, and I don't know why it pops up. And he popped up, and I was like in bed, and it was that late at night, and I was like Wikipedia the whole thing. I was Wikipediaing the whole thing. And when I saw these things, like towards like the end, when I saw like everything, like the whole shot, my eyes were like, I should have not read this, but I couldn't stop. And I was just like, man, what the hell? I think I texted my friend the next day. I was like, dude, I ended up reading about this school and everything. And it was just like something I probably should have not done late at night. And I was just shocked. And this thing kind of reminded me of that, which I think was kind of trying to represent a little bit about that. And I also read that, yeah, Joe Hill, the guy that wrote the short story, The Black Phone, I guess he's the son of the famous author Stephen King. And this is one of his short stories, The Black Phone, which is cool. But the thing is, it feels like it wasn't big time. It feels more to me, it comes off more targeted towards like smaller kids that are probably the age of these main characters. If some little kids, some of us when we're young, we want to get a scare. And I think this movie's kind of a little bit for them, maybe. But then again, there is that thing where I didn't know it had that, I guess you would say, like nuance to it, which I didn't pick up on at all. I was trying to see if there was something with it, but I didn't find that out till last night when I was reading about it. So maybe as time goes on, and if I read more about it, maybe I'll grow some appreciation for it, or maybe it'll grow. Watching it again, it'll grow on me or something. But I still want to read some more of that stuff because it did get my attention of like, oh, this is not focused on like the main serial killer. This is focused about like the experience of the victims. It's their story, not about the villain. It's not about them. It's about these kids, about the victims right there. So that got me interested. So I still got to read more on it to see if I could explain that better. I don't want to explain something that I don't know yet. I'm barely finding that out anyways. But yeah, so I could show you the reasons why I didn't like it, and then what I barely read like last night when I was on my bed. And I did want to say too, since I didn't enjoy it, let's say I didn't read that stuff. This is what I would say is like, it's a short story. I found out that it was from a short story. And I think one of the great Stephen King films that I like that I have is 1408. And I think that was a short story, and they turned it into a feature-length film. And I thought that was great. But right here, I didn't feel like it was that epic as like a short story turning into a feature film that becomes like a classic for me or anything. But I love 1408. I think that was a short story. I don't think it was a novel or anything. But I think they did great with that. So yeah, that's I'm just glad that Scott Derrickson did something that he wanted to do. He seemed like he was really passionate about this. and maybe he did do what he intended to do, and it did get good reviews. But it's just I was going in for something else, but maybe I was going in for the same thing that we've already had. So maybe it's a good thing that he didn't go that way. I'd have to read more and watch the film again to get to that knowledge of the whole thing that I told you about, to see if that makes sense. It has a point right there of doing it that way. But it just didn't work out entirely for me the way it did. So I mean, but I didn't regret going. I didn't regret going. I actually enjoyed going to watch it. So I'm glad. So if you guys haven't seen The Black Phone, it is out in theaters. If you guys just want to go get a little chill or something, or just something to watch, I think The Black Phone is fine. So that's my review on Scott Derrickson's The Black Phone. If you enjoyed my video, please hit that like button and subscribe. And as always, thank you for watching.